Hi, boys and girls, and welcome to Learning with Miss Nancy. I'm Miss Nancy, and today we're going to talk about the importance of shifting the gear of language or changing the gear of language to fit the situation or the occasion. Okay? The language that we use is our way of communicating one to another. But depending on where you are, your language can't stay in the same gear. It's like riding a bike. When you ride your bike downhill, you put your bike in one gear and it just glides downhill. But when you have to ride your bike uphill and pedal, you have to put your bike in another gear to get uphill. You don't take a bike and say, okay, I'm going to take this bike and I'm going to ride downhill, right? And then once you get downhill, you switch and get on another bike to ride uphill. No, you keep that same bike and you get on the bike and you ride downhill in one gear, and then to come back uphill, you change the gear and you pedal hard to get to the top. The same thing happens with language. Yes. When you're speaking to your mother, you may speak one way. When you're speaking to your friends in the street, you may speak another way. And when you're in school, you're going to speak another way. You're going to use a formal language, standard language. Yes. So if you're in the playground and you see your friends, you go, hey, buddy, hey, pal. Yo, my friend, my homie, you might say, in the playground, and that's fine. But when you see your mother in the morning and you wake up and she says, wake up, it's time to go to school, and you yawn, you don't say, good morning, homie. Good morning, pal. No. You say, good morning, mommy. Good morning, daddy. Because you're speaking to your parent, an authority figure, right? When you go to school, you don't walk through the door and say, yo, Miss Teacher, how you doing? No, you're in school and it's a formal setting. So when you walk through the doors, you switch your gear and you say, good morning, Miss Teacher, how are you? You understand? So depending on where you are, your language must change. And in school, your language has to switch to a gear that's more formal. At home, mommy might say, I need you to go downstairs and get an ink pen. I have to fill out this form and I need you to get an ink pen. Hurry up, hurry up. And you run downstairs and you open the drawer and you look and you say, Mommy, I don't see it. Ain't no ink pen in the drawer. Ain't no ink pen in the drawer. Well, at home, and mommy will say, okay. And that might be okay at home. Ain't no ink pen in the drawer. All right? That's fine. But when you're in school, and if your teacher says, good morning, boys and girls, and now we're going to start our activity, and I need you to take out your crayons. And you open up your crayon box and you notice that you left your crayons home. Raise your hand, you say, Miss Teacher, I ain't got no crayons. I ain't got no crayons. In school? No. In the schoolyard, you can say, I ain't got no crayons. At home, you might be able to say, I ain't got no crayons. But in school, you must say, I don't have any crayons. I do not have any crayons. And the teacher will say, okay, no problem. I'll make sure I get some for you. Okay? So in school, in the playground, or at home, depending on where you are, the language must shift. Also, when you're speaking, depending on where you are, language is different. People call the same objects that we can see with our eyes different things. For example, if you live in Philadelphia, you might call this sandwich a what? You might call that sandwich a hoagie. Yes. But if you live somewhere else, you might call it a sub. Yes. If you live in Philadelphia, you might call this footwear something You live in Philadelphia, you might call that footwear sneakers. But depending if you live in another region other than Philadelphia, you might call that footwear tennis shoes. You understand? So depending on where you are. Here's another image. If you live in Philadelphia, you might call that image soda. But I have a friend who lives in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and she calls that image pop. You see? So depending on where you are, the gears of language shift all of the time. But in school, we must remember to use the standard rule. So today, I want you to listen to some teachers, parents, and they're going to explain to you, in their opinion, why it's important to shift the gear of language while you're in school. Take a listen. Phil?
Good afternoon.
Ms. Stringfield, how long have you been teaching?
I have been providing instruction to students for 30 years.
Wow. Thank you for your service. You're such a great teacher. Ms. Stringfield, let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Why is it important for children to shift their gear of language while in school?
That's an excellent question. It is important for students to shift their gear of language in school because it is mandatory that they learn the language of the marketplace. So when students are interviewing for jobs, when they're working in their careers, when they're going and doing business, for example, in Walmart, they need to know how to speak standard English. It is okay that when you're with your friends, you can say, yo, what up, homie? But that is not the type of language that should be spoken when you are speaking to your parent, when you are speaking to your clergy, when you are speaking to an insurance broker. You have to know the language of the land. And the language of the land is standard English, the King's English.
Wow.
Hello.
Thank you, Ms. Stringfield. Thank you so much.
You are so
Because we're working with early learners and we're trying to impress upon parents to start early, teaching early learners how to navigate.
So what parents need to do in their daily conversation with children, they have to teach children that language. So when they converse with their children, they need to speak standard English. Okay, hey boo boo, that's fine. But you can't do that all the time. So when you have an exchange from parent to child, the child has to hear the parent speaking like that on a continuum. Every single day they have to have those conversations. And the parents need to say to them, okay, it's okay to speak like that when you're doing A, B, C, and D. But when you are handling business, when you're talking to your teachers, when you're talking to your parents, it is necessary, it is mandatory that they learn to execute the language of the land. And I'm talking about globally. Even students, now I've had the honor of teaching students in Asia. Even students in Asia are learning the King's English. So it is a global language. That is the language that is taught because when people are conducting business, and you go to the United Nations, for example, what happens? You have an interpreter who interprets the language in what? English. Because that is the what? Law, the language of the land, the global language. Even though we have so many different languages, but everybody in every country, students learn their native tongue, and guess what their foreign language is? English.
Wow.
The King's English.
Wow, Miss Stringfield, I'm telling you, we are so appreciative that you stopped by to drop those gems on us.
Okay.
Thank you so much,
you are so
and
welcome.
have a wonderful time while teaching in your new assignment in Brazil.
Absolutely.
Congratulations, Miss Stringfield. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Wasn't that very good information? Yes. And Mrs. Stringfield is a teacher who's been teaching for over 30 years. So she understands the importance of shifting the gear of language. And now guess what? She teaches in Brazil. Yes, another country altogether. And still in Brazil, she stresses the importance of speaking the formal language in school. Now we're going to hear from a parent. Hello, Isaac.
Hello, how's it going?
Oh, welcome, Isaac of
Thank
Pen
you
and
so
Pad
much.
Podcast. Thank you
for having me on.
Oh, wow. Thank you
Appreciate
for
that.
coming on and learning with Miss Nancy. I have a few questions I want to ask, okay?
Fire away, fire
Well,
away.
Isaac, first of all, congratulations on your new baby.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Little mama's 4 months already.
Wow.
Pretty good.
And you're a proud dad of how many girls?
3.
3 beautiful
4
girls.
to 4 months.
Wow.
They run the household.
Okay. So being a father of 3 girls, and they're soon going to go into formal education, because I know they're in daycare, one's getting ready to start kindergarten.
Absolutely.
With that being said, why is it important for children to shift the gear of language while in school?
I feel that, first of all, you need a foundation
Uh-huh.
to begin with. And it's also important so you can become more versatile in the real world.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
you can't just speak one language all of the time because everybody doesn't speak the same language
Right.
as we can see in society.
Right.
So you need to have that base and that foundation to start off with. Okay. And not saying that you can't, with your friends joke around and
Right.
do slang, but you need to know your basic language,
Right.
the formal language,
Okay.
and build on that.
Right.
All right.
Right. Yes.
So
Yes.
that's what I think is important.
Oh, thank you so much, because so many people don't know how to do that. They don't know how to navigate through language. They stay in one gear, and I think it doesn't work for them, right? And sometimes people judge them based on their language skills, and that's not fair either, because I could be a person that speaks slang but be very intelligent. What do you think about that?
So that's just how you were raised. Like I said, your foundation, how you grew up.
Okay.
If somebody constantly speaks one language to you the whole time,
Right.
like you said, that doesn't mean like you're not intelligent,
Right.
or book smart, or you don't have drive
Right.
or ambition. That just means that's the only language you know.
Right.
So
Right.
that's why it's so important to go out and get an education, to be more informed, and to train and teach yourself
Right.
on new languages and take it seriously.
Take it serious. Oh, thank you so much, Isaac. And I think when young boys especially hear that, they'll understand that it's okay to use vernaculars and slang. But guess what? You have
all
to
the time.
shift
You need
the
balance.
gear. You need balance.
Always
You
need
need balance.
balance.
Thank you so much.
Fantastic.
Pen and Pad Podcast.
Yes.
Thank you. Wasn't that good information? And here's a parent. This young man has 3 small daughters. 2 of them are in preschool, and he's teaching them right now why it's important to shift the gear of language. Let's listen to another teacher. Candice,
Hello.
how are you?
Fantabulous.
So, Miss Candice, how long have you been a teacher?
Well, I have been a teacher for 2 years, but I've been working with children since the age of 13.
Wow, that's exciting.
Yes.
I see you have a little one with you. What's her name?
Yes, her name is Imani. Wait, Imani.
Hi, Imani. How old are you, Imani? How old? Oh, she's shy.
Disengaged.
Okay. So, Miss Candice, the question for today is, why is it important for children to shift the gear of language while in school?
It is important for the children to shift their gears while in school because it allows you to learn the different lingoes of the world. So, for example, when I speak to my mother, it is a different way than when I speak to my friends. You have different gears for different people.
Okay.
So, when I'm in school, I won't say, "What's up?" to my teacher, but I would say, "Greetings, Mr. or Mrs."
That's good. That's very good. And that's important for children to know.
Yes.
Because a lot of times our kids stay in one gear, and that's not good.
Not good.
Why not? Are we judged?
Well, yes, we're judged, but it's also good just to know more information and different ways to speak or different ways to communicate with one another.
Okay. Sometimes people think your verbal skills is a way to assess your mental or intellectual capacity. Do you think that's good to do?
I don't think that's good to do because I actually found that when you judge people based off of language or the way that they speak, that is not necessarily all of the knowledge that they may know.
Right.
So just because they may speak one way
Yes.
doesn't say that they are misinformed
Right.
or misguided or what have you.
Okay. Okay. Ms. Candice, thank you for this information, and I'm sure it will help somebody. Thank you for joining us. Bye, Monty. Bye, beautiful. Wow. That was very good information. And Ms. Cahill is a young teacher, but she understands and she stresses the importance of speaking formal language while in school. Now we're going to hear from two youngsters. Let's hear what they have to say. Today's your birthday. How old are you today? 11, and thank you for taking a moment from your party just to have a conversation with me. Rezan, why is it important for children to shift the gear of language while in school?
I think it's important because in different spaces in life you're gonna have to speak a different standard language.
Okay.
You may have a job interview or sports or any different area in life that you're not really used to, and you're gonna have to
Adjust. I like that. I like that. You're a smart 11-year-old.
Is it okay to speak slang when you're with your friends?
Yes.
Absolutely it is.
Okay, it's okay to speak slang, but not all the time, right? Okay. Thank you, Rezan. Quite impressive. Rezan, he's 11 years old, and he already understands that he has to shift the gear of language. Let's hear from another young man. Happy birthday!
Thank you.
How old are you today? 9. Well, Ryan, I have a question to ask you. When you're in school, right, and if the teacher is giving you a test, should you use slang in response to the questions on the test? No. Why?
Because the teacher might not understand the test that you read.
Might not understand your response. Might not. Oh, why won't the teacher understand your answers?
Because he speaks a different language, or she.
Okay. And slang is a different language, right? Okay. So do you use slang when you respond to your teacher on the test? What do you use?
I use English.
Standard English?
Yes.
Very good. Good job, Ryan. Happy birthday. And that was Ryan. He's 9. So these young people are understanding early on the importance of shifting the gear of language while in school. Wonderful. So right now I want you to listen to an animated video that talks about the importance of shifting the gear. And it's not a judgment, no judgment at all. It's just stressing the importance of shifting the gear so that you can meet the conditions of the environment or what's going on around you appropriately, right? So take a minute and listen to the song, watch the video.
I'm is he or she ain't, don't got. My bad, it's cool, what's up, that's hot. It's okay to speak that way at home or in the street. But when in school, speak the standard rule, learn the language, don't retreat. Just shift your gear, just shift your gear. No judgment here, trust me, my dear, you must shift your gear. Just shift your gear. Just shift your gear. No judgment here, trust me, my dear, you must shift your gear. Some children think they're smarter than you. Their noun and verbs agree, that's true. But they don't know the way you speak will become modern art. The words you use will be infused and make it to the music charts. Just shift your gear. Just shift your gear. No judgment here, trust me, my dear, you must shift your gear. Just shift your gear. Just shift your gear. No judgment here, trust me, my dear, you must shift your gear. Judgment here, trust me, my dear, you must shift your gear.
You like that? Just shift your gear. Just shift your gear. No judgment here. Trust me, my dear. You must shift your gear. Until next time, I'm Miss Nancy. Bye-bye.